Away.
I imagine that's been a good week on the back of a good performance and 3 points so early in the season.
Yeah, I think the main thing as a manager and the coaching staff, you want to see the players fit and well, obviously, and you want to see them performing. And when we went into the game and said I don't think it's a prerequisite because sometimes pre-seasons can be misleading, but I think every manager and coach, well, certainly us, we'd like to see the players in good fitness and in good form and that kind of... that edge to their performances. The eyes are alive, and we've seen all of that. So then to take it into a game was very pleasing.
I mean, at the start of the season, it's unknown. I guess the major unknown was whether you get the team that finished last season or the team that perhaps started last season. You seem to have got the team that...
a strange kind of season last season. I think we were more looking for jumping back because it's fair to say a very strong second half of last season. We all know that. So I think we're jumping back towards last pre-season. The many challenges we had... But then comparing, I don't think it's probably fair to say compare, but just seeing the difference. And I think there was an obvious difference. I think the players have come back really clear-minded and kind of with a slightly, it's hard to explain, like a slightly more powerful edge to their fitness. Not they weren't fit last year, but a bit more of a hungry edge to get fitter and get really sharp and on top of their performances as individuals, I mean. And then, of course, that works into the collective group. So I've been really pleased with that. The way they came back, the fitness levels, the skin fold levels were very good, very low. Probably the lowest they've ever been here. And they've shown that with the work they've done in pre-season. I mean, it's early, yeah, obviously, but it is nice to see that work at least get you off to a good start with a nice win. Obviously, we know tough games coming up, but they're all tough in the Premier League.
Is the basis of that what you said to them when you left last season, though? Almost what your words ring in there.
I think the good thing is with the way the group work and the honesty within it, I think I don't need to over egg it to them. I think they knew, that last year was a real reminder of how tight it is in the Premier League and, how them tight games you have to work to get them in your favour. And if you're not performing, you get hurt. And I think the early part of last season was a big reminder of that. The balance of a strange kind of season was the power of a group to turn that around and do what we did in the second half of last season. So I think there's an adjustment from them without me saying anything. I think we've got a bright enough group to realise and learn from that. And as I always say, it doesn't guarantee the next season by any means and what we're doing now. But what it does, it gives you a better chance. If you're clear-minded, you're fit, you're well, you know the way that you want to work and the team wants to work, then they're all things that give you a better chance of success.
How much reminder is actually advancing after 2 goals this week?
No, he's been good. I learnt last week he's got a grime song as well. Played that to my kids. They seem to think it was pretty good. I, on the other hand, different. Not quite my style, I wouldn't say. But no, joking apart, the lads have had a bit of banter with him about that. He's had a pre-season when he played well, hadn't scored, and then he fires 2 in. And pleased for him, pleased for all the team because it was a good all-round performance.
From a centre-back's point of view, though, he's a nightmare to play against. I mean,
I think we got players. From being a centre-half myself, players have different ways of playing that can affect you. We all know there's some very clever players with just their pure movement. There's some very fast centre-forwards, of course. Speaking purely of centre-forwards, some clever with their interlocking play with the team. And I think Barnes, he's maturing. I think he's worked hard at his game from a tough start in his career when he's playing all over the place, and then worked very, very hard through his years at Brighton and here to really bring some success to himself and what he delivers. And I think he delivers well. He's an awkward customer. He's learnt the game and I think he's become more and more effective as the season's gone on. As the seasons have gone on. And he's beginning to round himself off. But like I say, he's had a nice start in front of the eyes, but his work in pre-season was good anyway. And so we want it to continue. We want him to continue pushing himself and working hard for the team as well, which he always does.
But like a lot of your players, he's a player that's got better, as you said, season upon season. It's symptomatic of that, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think we try and help the players to develop. We try and guide them to better themselves, first of all, and the team. Most have had some form of move forward, I think. Most of the players we work with, which have enjoyed seeing that. And he's certainly one of them. But mainly it's down to the players. They deserve the credit because if you're going to listen and put into action some of the stuff that you get offered, then hopefully it's going to work. And I think he's certainly one of a number who have done that.
Danny Drinkwater, what's the situation with him in terms of your mantra tends to be 2 weeks and then you might blood him. Is that your thinking in terms of him?
Well, he came in fit, generally fit, but lacking in football fitness. So the first things first, he's been training hard with the group this week and doing extras. But like I say, his general fitness is good. And then it's getting that football fitness. So that's the next step. We've got a couple of games lined up next week that we'll hope to put into action, and he'll certainly get some football in them.
We're seeing Ben Mee next. Are you delighted in many ways that the Mee Tarkowski thing could stay together? I know we were talking about
well, there's no delighted. That was our choice to make sure it stayed together.
But it's a bonus though, isn't it?
It's not a bonus because we designed it to stay together. I think what it is, it's good to see that they've started the season well. They've performed well in pre-season. I must say, Kevin Long and Gibbo have laid down a marker in pre-season. I think they've both performed well. But they did start the season very well last weekend. And, some of there wasn't too much work for Popey to do. He made one big save, but generally I thought them two and the back five, including the keeper, were very strong. But it often is the case if you've got an attacking threat that we quite clearly even did have last week. And then you usually find that your defending gets better. And I thought the defence worked on the back of a good attacking performance last week.
How big a step up is it this weekend at the Emirates?
Yeah, a good side. They spent a lot of money. There'll be a different expectation maybe second season for the manager and what he's hoping to produce there. They've always got some talent, we know that. And they can open up the game when they need to. I think it looks like early season and pre-season they've been slightly more defensive in their shape. But I'm not going to remotely say they can't attack because they definitely can attack. And they do have a way of opening teams up. So, we've come across it before many times in the Premier League, and they're certainly one of the sides that are strong at doing that. Our job's to not allow that to happen, of course, and be effective in our own right, and that's what we'll look to do.
At the risk of upsetting you with a stat, I mean, you've got points off everybody off in the top six. I think you've beaten everybody probably in the Premier League. You've never got a point off Arsenal. Strange. It seems a strange one.
Well, I'm not going to start harping on about some of the decisions that have gone against us, but I think it's fair to suggest that has played its part in a number of the games that we've had with them. It didn't last season, but it has done before that. So you need. I've always said it's. I know it's the broken record, but you've got to be on top of your performance against the top sides, and not only that. Sometimes they might be having a quiet day. You might need the rub of the green. You might need a decision, which obviously. Well, or currently a lot of debate, but I think the decisions will be a bit more measured now with VAR. You certainly wouldn't have had the decisions we had go against us. But when it comes down to it, though, you've got to perform. It's simple as that, in my opinion. You've got to perform. The top sides are there for a reason. They've got good individuals. They're good as a unit, and we've got to perform. If you don't perform, you very, very rarely get anything against the top side, or against anyone in the Premier League, by the way, but definitely not against the top side. So we have to perform as a minimum to give us a chance of getting what we want.
Just finding injuries, and also Stephen Defoe. Is there any kind of light at the end of that tunnel? Yeah,
he's going well, actually. We've had to be careful with him, and he's had to be careful, but I've spoke to him this week and I've seen him out on the training ground. He's back on the grass. He's working hard. It's coming to the beginning of the really hard work, if you like. He's done some hard work, but what I mean is that almost like a second pre-season because he missed our first one, of course, and almost like his own pre-season. But he's looking ready to begin that process. So I don't want to put timescales on it, but he looks in a good frame of mind at the moment.
And otherwise, not fine from last weekend?
Yeah, Robbie Brady will still be not available because of his ribs, but he's back on the grass, just getting going again. That should be it at the moment.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sean, how would you assess the Burnley squad? Is this the best squad you've had in your time in the Premier League?
I think it's a very competitive squad. I think we've without having huge resources, I still think we've shuffled well over the last couple of seasons, and we've got a very competitive group. And also the players who've been here a bit longer, as we spoke about, people like Ashley Barnes, he's improved as well, and he continues to do so. So we want that from the group that have been here a while, and we want the newcomers to add to that and that competitive edge. And I think that's our best way of building is small steps and trying to speed them small steps up rather than taking giant steps by making massive signings. I know that's not going to happen here.
Charlie Taylor wasn't in the squad on Saturday. Is he kind of fully up to speed?
Yeah, we crammed a lot of football into him at the end of the pre-season. He missed the first 2 weeks where there's a lot of heavy work in that 2 weeks. It's just being unfortunate, of course. And so we crammed a lot of football into him very quickly. He'll come back into the thinking. I still think he needs a bit more football, but he will come back into the thinking from a squad member this week and, laying down a marker to try and play, of course.
He's got a battle on his hands.
Yeah, Eric's come in and had a good pre-season. You know, I think the thing that's been very pleasing from the point of view with Eric and Jay, actually, you know, it's different for Drinky just playing catch-up, but them two have come in with that real edge to play. And both have been obviously considered. Eric getting his starting shirt and Jay not quite so, but Jay's had a very strong pre-season. He looks fit and ready, and they've laid down a real marker rather than... you know, sometimes players sign, they might come in and just wait and see what happens. They've actually trying to force the issue, which I'm really pleased with their attitude towards getting the shirt. And Eric's got the shirt currently, and I still think Jay will play plenty of football this season at some point.
Just on a different topic, the European Super Cup yesterday, we saw an all-female officiating team. At the moment, I don't think we've got any women in this country refereeing above national league level. So I just wondered, would you like to see a change in that?
I think it's performance related, and last night I thought they performed very well. I watched the whole game and I thought they were very good. I think the VAR decision was a strange one. That was the only thing, but I wouldn't put that on the referee. I think the VAR, which I'm a big fan of, I thought that was a soft one at best, but I thought they all performed very well.
Sean, just on Danny, obviously he's joined until...
Cameras off? Or we're still on? We're still on?
Still on.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't matter. Just on Danny, obviously he's joined until January. Was that a deal you hoped might stretch to the end of the season, or was it just...
We're not looking at that at the moment. You know, I think Danny knows he needs to get himself going again. He's hungry for the chance, the opportunity. In balance that, he knows he's got to work for it. You know, he's been in a few days now. He's got used to the group. He knows there's a high demand there, high training level. And I think he's enjoying it, actually. So first things first, get him fit and well, and then see if he can forge his way into the team. And then we'll take it from there.
I guess you can sort of weigh it up and then come January with you guys and Chelsea as well as to what's next for him.
We certainly can.
Just on Stephen, there's some speculation in Belgium linking in with a return to...
Speculation?
Yeah, I know.
You're kidding me. Speculation, impossible in football.
The closure of the transfer window didn't stop me asking you about transfer.
Well, no, there's no speculation.
As far as you're concerned, he's obviously working his way back to fitness.
Yeah, he's just getting fit.
He's got a part to play.
He's just getting fit.
He returns.
That's the first thing. Just get fit.
Thank you. And just on Mate Vidra, he missed the 18 last week. I guess just indicative of the squad strength you've got in terms of competition.
Yeah, I think that's a thing that we spoke to the group about. You know, last year we had not a lot of injuries at this stage. We haven't this year. We've got a couple, but nothing, you know, ridiculous numbers wise. And I said to him, I said, look, the facts are the facts. 11 to start, the subs, and then the rest will have to be respectful of that. Come and see me by all means, and we'll chat it through. But I can only pick so many. So the balance is being ready, you know, staying ready for when your chance comes, because then you want to earn the right to stay in the team or stay on the bench or whatever it may be. At the minute, we'll probably find a way of looking at the bench. Last week, 2 centre-halves. Tarky had a groin strain, don't forget, so we had to cover that, as well as having a normal, you know, you normally have a centre-half on the bench as well. That could change this week and the weeks coming. So, yeah, they've all got to be open-minded about that.
You still think he's got a role to play, though, moving forward?
I think everyone's got a role to play, else they wouldn't be here.
And just lastly for me, possibility of a couple of the younger lads maybe leaving on loan between now and...
Yeah, there is a possibility, yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cameras off then, please. I imagine that's been a good week, hasn't it, off the back of that victory? We started that way with Sean. He said it has.
Yeah, really good week, solid week. Obviously, all that work you do in pre-season to get to the first game, you don't know how it's going to go, and to win 3-0 was fantastic, and got us off and running. Leads into these games now that are quite tough before the international break into good confidence, and let's get cracking. Yeah.
He said there was a greater edge to the players when they came back. He knows you as a collective really well. Yeah. What was there a thought amongst yourselves that you got to get? Yeah, definitely when we came back. Do you mean from pre-season? Yeah. At the tail end of last season when you've shown what you were about. Yeah. After the start when. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Definitely we come back really well, and everyone's looked really sharp and really on it and focused, and that you look into the lads' eyes, you can see that sort of intense look that you're working hard in training and in games and that, and I think the feelings there really well, and it might be missing sort of back at the beginning of last year, with the Europa League and stuff. I think the focus is completely on the Premier League now, and you can see that in everyone's eyes.
Does that help? There's the routine that you're familiar with. I mean, I know I don't want to make it Europe was rubbish.
No, we enjoyed Europe. It was fantastic, but I think just having that sort of structure, and a little bit of familiarity, routine, I guess, has probably helped us a little bit this year, and being able to for the staff wise, I think for them to be able to organise it in a familiar way, leading up to the first game was good, and they sure worked as hard, and yeah, so I think they'll be able to build it up a bit better than what happened last year, because obviously competitive games came early and fast. So.
The man that's been in the spotlight this week has been Ashley Barnes. I mean, you play against him training regularly. I mean, firstly, for a centre back, he's a nightmare, isn't he?
He is a nightmare. He don't go as rough on us in training, but yeah, he's he puts himself about, but there's a lot more to him than putting himself about. He's quite a clever striker, I think, in the way he does put his body in the way of other players. But I think he showed his quality as well with his finishes on Saturday, and yeah, quite right, he's in the headlines, and it was nice for him to get 2 goals after being frustrated a little bit in pre-season, not scoring many. So it was nice for him to get off the mark with two goals, and hopefully he can make this into one of his best seasons.
I mean, the guys here have done their homework better than I did, but he scored more goals in the calendar year than everybody else bar Raheem Sterling. So it's more than just putting your body in the way, isn't it?
Fantastic. Yeah, I didn't know that stat, but it's a really good stat to have, obviously, and he had a really good back end of the season. To be fair, they both did, Woody and Barnesy, and they've had a good pre-season. So hopefully, like I say, they've got J-Rod, on the bench, who's looking raring to come on, and hopefully that'll spur him on to perform even better.
The manager gave the round, he said it's not just him that's improved, it's the whole group. And looking at the dressing room, when you see the players around you, that's the feeling you have, isn't it? That everyone else has developed together.
Definitely, yeah. I think we've had a few years in the Premier League now together, and I think the players are, like I say, looking sharp, and you can see the intent in the eyes, and the quality's there for us. And like I say, we're getting better as a group, which is fantastic, and using our experience that we've had in the Premier League well.
How much of a bonus is that James Tarkowski scared? I mean, again, the manager said that was never an issue, but I think how transfers work. Something come out of the blue. Yeah,
sure. You never know what can happen. Obviously, there's a lot of talk around Tarky, and I said to him, I'm glad you stayed. I've said that to him, and he was obviously focused really well, and showed that on Saturday. He's focused on the club, and he had the attitude of what will be, and never once stepped out of line anyway. See other players in other clubs, they hear about something and they can sort of go a little bit off the rails or whatever, and he's sort of stuck to it, and trained really well, and stuck with the group, and so he showed that on Saturday. He's fully focused on playing for us. Was there also determination this season to show people what you're about again? I mean, 2 seasons ago everyone was surprised, and last season the real Burnley's probably somewhere in the middle in terms of where the table is, isn't it? Yeah, hopefully, yeah. I say it's only one game in, but we're determined to show everyone what we can do, and how much we do deserve to be in this league, and we want to better last year, obviously, and be more consistent, I guess. Yeah, more consistent in our season, and if we have the same sort of year as we did sort of back in the last the 6 months or so from January we had in last season, then we'll have a good season. Arsenal have been problematic. I think the only team you've not got a point from, but there's been a variety of reasons for that. Yeah, I mean, like I said in an interview then, we've always seemed close to nicking something, but for one reason or another we haven't managed to do that. But they're always interesting games, and hopefully we could be on the right side of the result and nick something. With them, is it the concentration thing? I'm not saying that's why you haven't got anything, but particularly when they've got the pace they have at the moment at the front, is that the key thing? Yeah, obviously they've got a lot of quality, and they've made some signings this season as well, and yeah, I mean, it's a tough place to go, especially when they're on form, and that it's early on in the season. We might be able to catch them out. You never know, and yeah, I think a bit of luck when we've been there has not been with us, which you always need against these big teams. So it's a number of things, I think. But after that start, they'll be looking at you slightly differently as well, won't they? Potentially, yeah. Potentially, it's their first home game of the season. Obviously, they want to be doing well in front of their own fans, and obviously seeing our result as well. I don't think they'll take us lightly. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, just on James, and you were praising him there for his attitude. Is that sort of indicative of the type of player that you've got at Burnley? I
think so. Yeah, I think.
Has that collective spirit?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's a big part of our group, and I think like you say, it sort of epitomises the group and how the players are, down to earth, and he's happy here, so he's happy with the lads and doing what he does, and yeah, like I say, he showed that on Saturday. He was more than willing to put himself about and play for our team, so which is all you can ask.
I know you've had a few centre-back partners in your time here, haven't you? But this partnership, do you feel it's kind of one of the best that you've had?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we've done well over the last couple of seasons. and hopefully long may that continue, and he can be here, and we can create this partnership and build it even stronger.
And obviously James was in the England picture sort of a year or so ago. Then last year he had a few injury problems, but do you see him getting back in there?
I hope so. Yeah. I hope they can look at him and see what he can do, and he can get back in there. I know he's disappointed not to be in and around it last couple of times. So hopefully he can get back in there and a few good performances. I'm sure he will.
For you, I mean, I know you've had the armband quite a lot, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because other people have been out, but to have it kind of permanently.
Yeah, it was always nice wearing the armband, but I was only ever filling in for the captain. So it's nice to have that role permanently and to be the club captains. It's a big honour, and I'm very proud to do that at this club. And the club have been here a long time now, and like I say, to have that role, it's I'm really pleased. Thank you.
Does it change anything, Ben, being captain? Have you had to take any extra responsibility in the dressing room, that sort of thing?
Yeah, the odd thing. Nothing major. Admin of the WhatsApp group and things like that. But obviously the communication with the manager and the staff comes through me now rather than Tom. And it's just keeping that balance of manager and players and sort of being that go-to sort of in between.
Yeah, you're not bossing everybody around.
No, I don't tend to do that too much.
Just on the sort of the partnership you've got with Taki then, in the sort of last 12 months with Harry Maguire's fee and Van Dijk before that, it seems almost that centre-backs and new centre-forwards in terms of everybody wants to pay big money for them. Have you sort of seen a change in the role a little bit from when you sort of came through in terms of ball play and that sort of thing, or?
I mean, obviously it depends what manager you have and what ideas they want to do, and I mean the role has changed, football's changed, I guess, from whenever you're sort of saying about it, the times change, and I think definitely the roles have changed. Money gets ridiculous, doesn't it? And so it does change, and I think players are evolving around that. Defenders, attackers, midfielders are all evolving and playing different ways. Yeah. I
guess what I'm trying to get at is, I suppose since you've joined Burnley, there's been an evolution a little bit in terms of football playing out from the back. Yeah. The defenders being able to be more comfortable on the ball than perhaps would have been the case 10 years ago.
I totally agree with that. A lot of players are more sort of accustomed to receiving the ball in various areas. Yeah.
And just lastly, we mentioned there Arsenal, and I think it was mentioned before, Aubameyang's got 6 in 3 against Burnley in his 3 items, which isn't a stat I'm sure you'll need to be reminded of. But just how difficult a player is he to play against in terms of Premier League strikers?
Yeah, I mean, was he top scorer last year? One of the top scorers last year. So he's obviously a top striker, and they've got a few. Lacazette, obviously the new boy as well, who comes, and a good couple of young lads as well that are up and coming and looking like good players. So there's a big threat there from a lot of players, and like I say, it's one we'll have to deal with. But this is why we play what we do, and go to these big teams and challenge ourselves to play against these good players.
I guess ultimately you're coming up against top strikers every week, aren't you? So your sort of game plan won't change too much depending on the individual.
No, not at all. Like I say, you come up against top quality players, top quality strikers, week in, week out nowadays in the Premier League. So you just have to be on your game and expect a tough game and prepare as best you can.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Hey guys and girls, cameras off.